Hi, Heidi.
Hello. I had to fumble my way in. The path.
Hello, you're in.
I am. I made it today. Oh, goodness.
I just did Heidi's astrology chart, and we are 1 day apart. We have so much in common. It was so fun. And it
I
was
know.
that was so synchronistic because I was just saying, gosh, I've done all these people's charts for 2021, but I don't know what's going to happen for me. I want to spend some time to do my chart. And then like within an hour, Heidi signed up, and she has her birthday's a day before me. So it was like doing my own chart. I was like, oh, but I was amazed how much was different in just 24 hours. It's just amazing for people who work with mothers and babies. And I just honestly believe as an astrologer that exactly how you came out is how you were supposed to come out, because people with astrology are always like, oh, but my baby was due on the 5th, but then I had a C-section and now I think that's not its birthday. And it's like, no, that is its birthday, because every situation led to them coming out at that exact moment, whether it was C-section or not. It still is when you were born, however it happened, whatever, like all the parts that came to be why you were born at that time are all a part of you being born at that time.
Yeah. And I think too, like all the energy that is happening at the moment you were born is what you're coming, part of what
Yeah.
Yeah, I was 2 weeks late.
Were you 2 weeks late? Really? Oh,
yeah. I was late, and my mom was not happy about it because.
And so many Scorpios are born in the middle of the night. I was like 11:47 p.m. You were 1 a.m. The Scorpios are always the late night babies. Just from doing charts, I see that.
Yeah, my kids were born in the middle of the night too, but one is at the end of July and one is in the middle of February. So, but they were both born.
The late night babies.
Yes, and they both got stuck.
My son got stuck too. He was really just slow, but it's right there in his chart. It was his Saturn, and they say that a lot of old souls, they just don't want to be here. They're like, oh God, no, don't sign me up for that. I'm not going. And they're the ones that have the hardest time coming out. It's like the harder it is for them to get out, probably the older their soul.
Interesting. My oldest took 6 hours. I pushed for 6 hours to get her.
Wow. Is she old soul? Does she seem old soul?
Very wise. I mean, she like out of all of her friends, she's like the one that kind of is very grounded, is able to kind of help them navigate, because so many of them are like have anxiety or depression, and she's like
the leader.
Yeah.
Nice.
Good. She's your grounding rod then, huh?
Yeah, well, but then she's an Aquarius, I'm a Pisces. There's some like dynamics there that and we butt at the same time.
Oh, it's a good year for Aquarius. Good year. This year's a good year for Aquarius.
Isn't that what the middle of February is? Because my oldest is February 11th. Isn't he in Aquarius?
Yeah, that's Aquarius. Yep.
Yeah, and then Chance is July 30th. So he's a
Leo.
He's a Leo. And then Jeff and I are Scorpios. Yeah. So, and Jake has had a rough go of this lifetime. I'm really hoping that it turns around for him.
How old is he?
He's 20. Well, he will be 27.
Oh, so he's going into his Saturn return. Sometimes it gets better after
I hope so.
Saturn return.
Because he's had nothing but an uphill battle pretty much his whole life.
Interesting. It'll get better. And that's your Aquarius or your Pisces or your.
That's the Aquarius.
This year is really good for Aquarius, because all the planets are going into Aquarius, and it's going to get they're going to become empowered, or they have to.
Good. I would like.
There will be no choice.
I would really like to see that. He still lives here, but he can't afford to live out of the house, and he doesn't have any friends here in town. They all moved away.
Aww.
So he's here with us, and there is the potential that we might have to move. Maybe. I'm still hoping we don't, because I don't want to move to Chicago. So yeah,
Why
he's
would you
kind
have
of,
to move to Chicago?
because my husband took a job with a company in Chicago, and because of the virus, nobody's working in the office. So they said, at the earliest, probably next summer is when we're going to need you to come in. And I'm thinking, why? He doesn't need to go in. His job is perfectly fine online. It's like, why do you guys always have this assumption that you have to meet in a place and discuss? You don't
We've
have
learned
to
this
do
year
that.
you don't. Yeah, this is
Yeah,
the year we figured out that
that's
we
my
don't have to.
thing. That's my thing. I'm like, do you realize how much resources you could take off these major cities if you just allowed people to live where they wanted to?
Absolutely. Yes.
All the infrastructure that you could save, and we could replant some of the stuff in these cities as green space. And I don't know. I'm a visionary. I am a visionary. I have all kinds of ideas, but I'm not the implementer.
That's true. There are some people are better at seeding ideas and then sending other people off to do them, So you might just be better as a consultant, like take my idea and go with it.
Yeah, something like that.
And get paid for it somehow.
Exactly. You gotta figure out the way to get paid for it.
Yeah. Well, that's my thing. I've been home for 20 years. Yes, been home for 20 years. Almost 21. Raising kids, taking care of the house, all that kind of stuff. And obviously, my youngest son is a senior this year, and he's 18, and he's, going to be doing his own thing. And it's like, okay, so now what do I do? Because it's not like I don't have anybody to take care of, or anything like that. And it's like, what do I do now? Which is a weird place for me, because since I can remember, I've always taken care of everybody around me, So now it's like, I don't have anybody around me to take care of. What do I do?
Take care of you.
I know that. It's just like, what do I do though? What do I like to do? What do I want to do?
Did you say that you have 3 Reiki masters?
Well, I have the UC Master, and then I have the Holy Fire Master, and then I have the Karuna Master.
Wow.
So,
and do you think you'll do anything with your Reiki?
I don't know. It was interesting because when I went through the UC Master, things were Usui. Things were different. I could feel it, like I could feel the energy. But then when I went through the Holy Fire, it changed into something else. Like I can't feel my hands heat up anymore.
Oh, yeah.
But it's like I was doing some Reiki this morning on my lower abdomen, because it feels like there's just a bunch of garbage down there. And I was trying to help clear it out. And like my hands never get warm anymore. But what happens is like my whole body starts to tingle. And it's different, because before it'd be like I would sit down and I'd kind of focus on it, and I could feel it come up. And now it's like I don't really feel it come up at all. But then all of a sudden my whole body will just start to tingle. So, and they said that.
Interesting. I'm a Reiki master teacher too, and I only do the Usui tradition. I just really like that traditional Japanese style, and I think that so much of Reiki has been changed. The energy has changed since it came to the West. So I don't know. I like that traditional Japanese style of Reiki. It seems like it's closest to the roots of what was intended. And now we have all kinds of like laser Reiki. I mean, that's just crazy. Level 8 Reiki. I'm like, what is that? And I just sort of steer clear of all of it. I just really only like the traditional, what Master Usui had in mind, I feel like
after I did the Holy Fire, I had a major life shakeup. That's what I told you.
Yeah.
Remind me sometime to tell you about that. Because I got to thinking about that whole node thing that you were talking about, and I was like,
the North Node.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
But then when I did the Karuna, because I did the Karuna in May, it was almost like.
Did you do that here in Bend, or did you do it online?
I did it online
Oh,
with
yeah.
a friend of mine who's been a Reiki master. She's also a quantum healer, so I've done a lot of work with her, and I feel that when I went through the holy fire, it kind of shook up a lot of stuff. I mean, it was like at the, you know, the earthquake coming along and just shaking everything up, and then all this stuff got loose, and then everything just started hitting the fan. And then when I went through the karuna, that was almost like the missing piece. It was, to me, it felt like the first two that I went through were clinical. They were, this is what you do. This is the instruction guide. You know, this is how you do this. But the karuna was the emotional component that was missing. Something felt like it was missing. And when I went through the karuna, it was like the compassion came in, the self-love
Nice.
came in, and it all kind of started to fit together. I was like, oh, okay. You know, it's like it was pieces of the puzzle. But I've heard of a bunch of these other Reiki styles, and I'm like, those don't feel quite right, at least not for me.
It's just a
You
funny
know,
thing. It's like the only modality where people just decide to make their own version of it. It's like you don't see that.
yeah,
But I guess you see that in yoga too, that people take yoga and then convert it to their own thing. It's just funny how things get, turned into something totally different.
yeah. But this, since going through the karuna, everything has been more on an emotional level as opposed to, you know, like a physical level, or like you when you see the reality, you see what's going on, but without the emotional component, it's just kind of black and white,
Yeah.
you know. But then the karuna brought in a little bit more of that flexibility and that emotion, and it kind of allowed me to understand myself a little bit better. It wasn't, you know,
Yeah.
but it did allow for that, which I thought was really nice. But just like kind of after the holy fire, the year after the holy fire, and when I did the Usui, the year after that was intense. And so, you know, I'm kind of giving myself the year after the karuna to see what comes up, what needs to work its way through.
It'll keep changing and shifting, and yeah.
Yeah. And so, and being a Scorpio, I guess I just had to, you know, pick the most intensive times of things. Like here we are, pandemic, karuna, Reiki, going through that change of life where your hormones are going all wonky. You know, it's like,
Well, it's
here.
I think that the Reiki calls when you need it the most, though, too. I became a Reiki master when my son was just a baby, and I was thinking, I don't have time for this. I'm exhausted. I have no energy. What am I doing going back to become a Reiki master right now? But it was the best thing I could have done because it just refilled that well.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that Reiki does call at the toughest of times. It wants you to learn and grow and heal right when things are at their worst. That's when you get called to do the deep healing. So that
Yeah.
depends on the lineage too. I'm a big believer in the Reiki lineage. So if you just like in Tai Chi and probably in yoga too, where if you are closer to the lineage, you're closer to the source. Like I was really blessed in Seattle. My Reiki teacher was only like 6 practitioners removed from Master Mikao Usui. So, I mean, her energy was just like a blast right out of the gate of just powerful Reiki energy. Whereas if you get somebody who's like, say, 100 masters removed from Mikao Usui, it can feel like, oh, nothing happened, or I didn't really like that. So sometimes maybe your friend, when you took the next time you took Reiki, maybe she was just a little closer to the lineage, so she had better energy too. It's so amazing. But anyways, I want to move on because I don't want to leave Dana out of this. And
Yeah,
I just
about to say, I think it's also just who you resonate with. I think
mm-hmm.
the exact same style of whatever or lineage or whatever, and it's like you may not resonate with this one person and have a really bad. I think it's about being open too, because even if you have a bad experience with whatever it is, Reiki, yoga, massage, whatever, you might have a totally different experience, and it's still the same, in essence, the same thing, but it's just who you resonate
So
with.
true.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And the same
Yeah.
is true of yoga too. I've had such different, you get such a different feeling from different yoga teachers. And it doesn't mean that anyone's good or bad. It's just that you didn't connect to them. It wasn't your style or.
Yeah, I know some teachers that I studied with, like, well, they were students at the time. We were students together, same teacher, and we have much different ways that we teach, and then you pull on different things too. Like she went on to study like different things about yoga, and like I went in to study like, a little more like trauma therapy or the prenatal and things like that. So it's like, then you have this whole, your little basket of what you offer that's different.
Mm-hmm.
Came essentially from this beginning from the same teacher. A black kitty. I have a black kitty.
I have two.
She usually stays with my youngest daughter though.
Yeah. Chance, our little female kitty, stays with Chance. This is our little male kitty. Go ahead. I'm sorry. He wants his food.
So I just wanted to bring people together so that you guys could put your face out there in the community and just sort of introduce and I want to just go around like in the order you guys came in and start with Dana and just tell the community what it is you do and what are you offering, like if you're offering the Zoom yoga and everything, just as a way that we can keep our businesses and our faces in the minds of others. I feel like so many of us are going sort of dormant this year. And I want to just bring people back out into the light and know that like, oh, you could still do yoga even though it's COVID time. And we could still I just got acupuncture. I've just started getting acupuncture again. And it's like, I can still do acupuncture just because it's COVID. I think that a lot of us, especially the moms right now, are really giving up on self-care this year, which is the worst time to give up on self-care just because it's COVID. We need it even more now than ever. So
Yeah, I think we're all getting a little lost in our own existence, in our own home, just kind of getting like going deeper and darker into that area, because we feel like we can't go outside, we can't access all the support that's out there. And like you said,
yeah.
Because I know I've talked with you about, the moms that you work on with massage. So that's what I do. I'm a yoga teacher, but prior to being a yoga teacher, I was a midwife. I was a home birth midwife. I've been working with moms for 17 years. I was a doula, been studying herbs for over 20 years, and so I just kind of,
Yes.
But what I'm offering now, because I did, about 3 years ago, I took a break as a licensed midwife, home birth midwife, because it was just feeling really adrenal fatigued and stressed, and like just needed to kind of come back. And having my girls are 14.
Dana, what is a doula exactly?
Yeah, a doula is a birth support person. So a woman, usually most often, that will just support a woman and her family or her partner through the birth, through like some prenatal support. So they come and give mainly just that emotional, physical support through labor. And then they might, yeah.
What's the difference between a doula and a midwife?
A midwife does more clinical work. So while midwives do the emotional support piece, they're delivering the baby, like they're making sure that the baby's heart tones are normal. They're checking blood work. We order ultrasound. So we kind of do all the same things as a doctor in like, low risk women and that are suitable for a home birth. Then, we do all that kind of work.
So you were both?
Well, when I was studying to be a midwife, I was doing doula work. And then I became a midwife. And now I'm not doing the midwife work because it's a lot of responsibility, a lot of stressful, and then just tired, being up for 2-3 days sometimes with cat naps. It was just a lot. And with, my girls and just feeling more of a pull to continue to work with women, but through a different layer, like more of that intuitive side, and just, with the yoga, because I think the yoga is so important. With my daughter, who's 14, I did a lot of yoga, prenatal yoga with her, and it's like that just changed my pregnancy. Being able to come into a room with other moms, and share. So I mainly teach prenatal yoga. So that's what I've been doing. I've been doing Zoom classes. I've been teaching for the last couple of years. And I teach through Doula movement arts. And so it's all Zoom. I also do postpartum yoga, but that started dwindling with COVID. Moms just having a harder time carving out their yoga practice. I mean, it's mom and baby yoga, so they would bring their babies in. And so I'm just missing that so much because it was just such a great community and so important for moms to have other women who are going through it also. But the Zoom classes have still been really nice. They've just been less, I would have like a nice full class of pregnant moms, and now it's like 4 to, it just varies.
And what do you think, what's the timeline? Do you guys have any idea when you might be able to go back to actual IRL? I mean, is there any word on the street about that?
So now I'm also doing some subbing of just like Hatha Vinyasa yoga at the yoga lab. I'm subbing and they're continually telling us we don't get to go back yet, like, because we're doing Zoom classes, and we'll get an email like, so the governor just came out and said we're still Zooming now. So that's, I have no idea.
I mean, I guess nobody knows, but it keeps feeling like maybe it's gonna come, and then no.
Well, I don't know, maybe when kids go back to school, but I don't know, which they're talking about next month. Back to school, we'll see what happens, what changes. So yeah, so anyhow, that's kind of what I'm doing is teaching prenatal, postnatal yoga. I'm also doing postpartum support. So like there's postpartum doulas, and I offer care in that I come to your home. I can either come to your home, make you food, or just be an emotional support person, because, with all the changes that happen as a new mother, and in our culture, it can be very scary and uncertain. And I think a lot of moms question themselves, and they try to read all the books and do this, and they don't listen to their own innate intuition. And so that's kind of what I, am there to just help support them with that. And yeah, so I've done lots of trainings of various sorts in that.
Do you help moms with, I have a client who's having trouble breastfeeding. As so many moms, it doesn't always come naturally. Is that something in your wheelhouse that you can help moms with?
Yeah. I'm not a lactation consultant, but I mean, as a midwife, that's what I did. And that's what I've continued to do is help support and breastfeeding. Yeah.
Wonderful.
And sometimes with that, it's like there's an emotional component. So I feel like I come in and just kind of help ground the moms. I do like breath work. I do just emotional support and kind of ground them, because you start getting so in your head and trying to read all the books and like figuring out what you're doing wrong. And the biggest thing is that you're just not grounding, and you're not like taking a breath. And then the baby is sensing all of that. And then the baby's not going to latch on either. So there's like the whole, biological and emotional component that is being missed by the medical community. It's pathologized. And
yes.
And yes, there can be pathology, but it's most often
stress.
It's stress, and it's our disconnect. It's and not being around very many. I actually just took a class. I did a training recently. It's called innate newborn care. So it's like more about the physiological development of newborns when they're born. And yeah, it's just really, really fascinating. But one thing she was talking about was like, we were not brought up seeing other women breastfeed. So how's our relationship with it? It's just like, we don't have that experience. Like, this doesn't happen in other cultures. They don't have breastfeeding issues.
Right.
In more indigenous traditional cultures.
Yeah. So what is going on? Do you think?
Why is the US in particular having such a hard time with breastfeeding? So yeah.
What do you think it is?
Well, I think it's partially like the pathologizing it, like making it like it's not, like we got to get, and then there was the whole big thing about you have to breastfeed within the first hour, right? And that was like being pushed by midwives because we want to get a successful breastfeeding relationship. the baby might not be hungry. And then you're trying to shove the baby's face in the boob. And then you're creating this negative reaction. Like, well, I'm not hungry, but I'm being force fed, you know? And so then so there's a lot of things. It's more just like, I feel like stepping back and then so I do Ayurvedic postpartum care. And with that, it's just like having this support system for the mom to like allow her to just get to know her baby and rest for, you know, the first 2 weeks, like not get out, you know, not go and do things. And for the first 6 weeks, you know, that whole piece of the first 42 days after birth. Nourishment is a big part because we're all malnourished in this country. Not all, but so many is being malnourished. And yeah, and then, you know, normalizing it, you know, yes, we've had a more higher breastfeeding rate in our country over the last decade, but it's still like, you know, we're still covering ourselves when we're breastfeeding, you know, and what is that telling, you know? And I understand modesty and not to shame like people doing that, but why? Why does it, you know? So yeah, there's I think a lot of pieces to it, but it's just normalizing it. It needs to be. We do have though a lot of babies are starting to be more tongue tied and lip tied, and that's
I've seen that too. Yeah.
and being diagnosed a lot, and that could be. I think that's environmental. I think it's what do they say? Glyphosates and all that affects the midline development of babies. So that's a bummer, and that's where, you know, uh, I think with your friend or client, you know, making sure that her baby doesn't have a lip tie and being evaluated for that is really important. Yeah.
I remember one of my prenatal clients, they had this ritual in the Korean culture where they would bring the mother soup.
Yeah.
And it was this amazing soup, and her mom had passed, so she asked me to make this soup, and it was all kinds of seaweed and steak, and it was basically like bone broth but with a ton of seaweed, like 6 different kinds of seaweed. And I thought, gosh, we just don't have those kinds of rituals in our culture.
Well, I go to, you know, I've done births at St. Charles, and it's like the mom will deliver the baby, and then she's like, okay, now you get your first meal because they don't let you eat in labor. And then it's like the nurses are like, oh, you should have a hamburger and a milkshake. And it's like, how difficult is that to digest after you like your organs are all displaced and all, you know? It's like the, you know, and I'm sure it was delicious, and not that it was, you know, bad, but it's also like it's about nourishment. Like we need to nourish. And then again, in the Ayurvedic tradition,
Absolutely.
like giving foods that are warming, and like in Chinese medicine as well, we want to warm the body after, you know, as a new mother. So a milkshake may not be the best thing, but so yeah, those nourishing foods, those traditional foods, and more women are learning about it. And so that's what I want to keep supporting, that momentum. There's a couple great books that I see more and more moms utilizing that teach that.
What are some good books?
Well, there's the first 40 days. And that talks all about like traditional foods and talking like, I think a lot of it is more based in Chinese medicine in tradition. And so, and it just talks about taking the first 40 days after you give birth to, you know, don't do anything, don't go on a vacation, don't go, you know, try to get other people to bring you food and all that. And then another book is The Fourth Trimester. And she draws on all different like traditional cultures but that same basis, the fourth trimester, because we talk so much about, you know, pregnancy and the birth. It's like all this big thing that are talked about, and we do classes, but then it's like the fourth trimester, the first, you know, few months after you give birth, is still that like incubation period, like you're still growing. After that, you know, after you give birth, it's not like you're done, like, oh, I'm done, like now let's get back to normal life. It's like we're still have a whole other trimester.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. That's a neat idea. Nice.
Yeah.
Well, we just have a few more minutes. This I don't actually have a Zoom business account. I just am doing the freebie Zooms.
Oh,
Only lasts 45 minutes. But I just wanted to say, as part of the Manifesting Mondays, I'm doing a little ritual where I'll have you tell what you want to manifest, and then I'll put it in my singing bowl and I'll ring it. And everybody who does these Manifesting Monday meetups, you guys get entered, or well, you automatically get a free listing for our spring guide. So, you know, Heidi, if you want to start doing Reiki and offering sessions or whatever you want to offer, if you have any offering for the community, you get a free simple listing. But I'm also putting in your names to win a free feature. And I know Dana, we're already talking about doing a feature for your yoga, but now you'll be entered to win a free feature.
okay.
So, and I have to say too, that there is a really exciting, we have the luckiest day of all of 2021 coming up. It's on January 28th. So this is a really good time if you can, between now and January 28th, if you can really do some soul searching and spend some time thinking about what is it you want to manifest or grow, because we don't get very many of these. I think this is the first CASME I have seen in 10 years. And what that is, a CASME is when the sun comes together with Jupiter. Well, it could be the sun and any planet causes a CASME, but the level of luck depends on the planet. So Jupiter, I think of Jupiter as like the king. You know, he bestows great blessings and gifts, lots of money. He's just, you know, he's the one to ask for. If you have a desire that you want to manifest, whatever it is, you go to the king, which is Jupiter, and you ask the king for it to be manifested. So this CASME is involving Jupiter and the sun coming together in a sun-Jupiter conjunction, which is so rare. And this will be happening on January 28th. And you can also think of Jupiter as expansion. And when you have a sun-planet conjunction, the sun magnifies expansion. So this is like expansion magnified. It's like, if anything you want to grow, I think this would be an excellent day even to plant seeds, even though that's ridiculous because in Bend, you shouldn't be growing anything till like May. But, you know, this will just expand anything you want to grow. And the Sabian symbol for it was really mystical. I just looked it up really quick before this Zoom because I knew I was going to talk about it. And the Sabian symbol is a flag turning into an eagle and taking flight. And so to me, this is a really hopeful aspect that maybe our politics are going to do something beautiful. Like maybe we are going to create just a powerful symbol of a new society being formed, the flag turning into an eagle and just taking flight. And the eagle being the sign of America, right? Like maybe we have some optimism and hope that will shine its light on, and it's also the Leo full moon, which is a really magnificent full moon anyways. On January 28th is the Leo full moon, and it's the Leo full moon with a CASME. I mean, if there was ever a day to buy your lottery ticket this year, this is the day. It's on Thursday, January 28th. So big vision, time to bring, you know, action to your visions. So whatever you are trying to manifest, this is the time to start. We're going to see things are going to start moving forward as of January 28th on. I think that things are going to start reopening. I might be a dreamer. I mean, we'll see. But I think that we're going to turn a corner after this CASME. And the CASME will really affect us for 6 months. You know, it's not like it just happens in one day. Like it'll have a positive influence over the next 6 months of growth. But it's good to make sure you have that seed of intention before the day so you know what it is you want to grow. And so if you guys have just an intention that you would like to speak it, I'll put it in my bowl, and I'm gonna ring these intentions on January 28th. I'm gonna do a full moon ritual with 2 of my Reiki Master students. We do these new moon and full moon rituals where we just send distance Reiki to it. So I'll be sending distance Reiki to your intention too.
Cool.
So think big and think quick. What do you want to manifest? And I'll write it down. You have one, Heidi?
I think I want to manifest what my passion is.
Yep. and what you want and what you want to do next kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to think about what it looks like, because then it, you know, I don't really know what it is.
What your passion is. I know you can't read, it's backwards, isn't it? People always do that on Zoom. I'm like, you can't read when you do that. Okay, how about you, Dana?
I want to manifest that more moms start reaching out to access yoga and postpartum support, and call me.
Absolutely. And self-care. Moms need self-care more than ever.
They can get, you know, whatever, like their family to help, you know, pay for it, or, you know, like everybody's like, what do you want for your baby shower? It's like, well, yeah, there's a lot of things.
I've had several of my massage clients have come and said that the doctor told them not to be getting massage right now and not to do any yoga or do anything because of COVID. And I'm taking very limited clients, and I am super safe. Like, I'm definitely quarantining and keeping really safe. But I was sad to hear that, because it's like telling moms not to take care of yourself. But I think that a lot of moms don't realize they can do prenatal yoga on Zoom.
Yeah.
And so just getting that message out there that, hey, I know you don't feel safe going to a yoga studio maybe, but you can just get on Zoom and do it. I'm going to do a little ringing of your manifestation. So we're going to ring out for new clients and new passions. This was so fun. And even these little small groups, it's just so nice to see some faces in this time. Don't you guys think?
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So mote it be.
That's a hypnotic sound.
Isn't it nice? I love it. I do singing bowls in my massage and Reiki work, where I place the bowl on the body and I pour water in it and I ring it, and the water gets all sprinkly and
Oh, wow.
just
Okay.
it resonates and it rings your whole body. Like, your whole body sounds like a bowl. It's amazing. I learned from
Well,
in Nepal.
your body is how much % water?
Yeah, it just gets your whole body vibrating from the top of your head to the tips of your toes. Everything's vibrating, and it's so cool. Well, I look forward to, Dana is going to do some prenatal yoga for our YouTube. We got to set that up. We got to schedule soon. And I think that just people, when they see it, they'll want more of it too. I think that will get it out there too. And what else is really sad, I think, about this time of being a pregnant mom, is that moms have no camaraderie right now. You know, when I had my son, I'm sure when you guys had your kids, we had prenatal yoga. I met some of my best friends to become, you know, sort of mom pals with. And then we also had like PEPs, the parenting group in Seattle. Gosh, I wish somebody, Dana, you should start that PEPs here, because we don't have one. There's no group for new moms. Have you ever heard of PEPs? We have that in Seattle. It was like a parenting education program. And I met some of my best friends who were having babies. And it was just a way to get moms together. But, you know, all that is not happening during COVID. So I think there is a sense of, you know, really being alone in the process of motherhood right now.
I heard that at the local board, they're still doing the breastfeeding group. I thought I heard that. Maybe they're taking a break with the COVID numbers, but I heard that they're still doing that in person.
Yeah.
Could be wrong. Yeah.
I hope that soon we can get over this, just so we can have those kinds of groups, support groups for moms. I feel like so many of my moms prenatal moms I massage are really needing something like that. And there's just nothing like it right now.
I feel that, like, at least in this, when it starts warming up, we'll be able to be outdoors and do like yoga in the park
Yeah,
or walks and everything. Yeah.
absolutely. Yoga in the park is so fun.
Yeah.
I
Great.
didn't do that. I'll have to try that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
Of
you guys
course.
so much for joining.
Yes. Thank you. This has been nice.
Oh, and I meant to I meant to ask just to make sure, when I record these, I like to put them out on Facebook for the people who didn't show up. I'm trying to get people like, look, nobody got bit. And just get people used to the idea. I know there's a lot of people, myself included. I was like, oh, I don't want to Zoom. I don't like these Zoom meetings and things. And then I just had to get over it because we need to gather and see faces. And so, and I would also like to put it out on YouTube just as a way to like promote yourselves and, you know, get just our community back. And since we don't have the meetups and the healthy happy hours. So I want to make sure you guys are okay if I put this out there.
Yeah, I haven't showered today though.
That's fine.
I don't know if it's going to reflect good on you. I got up really late. I woke up at like 10:15. I was like, oh my gosh, what time is it? So
oh, that's nice to sleep in. It's the hibernation season.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know why, but like I told you the other night, I woke up in the middle of the night. I was just awake and I had trouble going back to sleep. And
The energy of this whole week, the energy is really astrologically, the energy is just so intense. If I hear one more astrologer say the energy is going to be intense, I'm like, it's intense every week for like the last 2 years, but it really is. I think it's going to be kind of intense this lunar cycle until we get that Leo full moon. And then there's just going to be a burst of hope and optimism and things might start to feel better. But right now we're in that whole Mars Uranus conjunction, which is really scary for a lot of people. But, you know, Heidi and I both have a Mars Uranus conjunction. So we're right at home in fear.
Yeah. It's like, you know, hello, darkness, my old friend.
Exactly. And Scorpios were like, whatever. Intense. That's just morning coffee to me.
Yeah. I did have to give that up though. I did have to give up coffee this year.
You did.
I did.
What were you saying, Dana?
Oh, I just said this morning I decided not to drink coffee, which I don't know if was a great idea.
I think that's nice. That's good.
I don't know. I was feeling really dragged down, but I did then green tea. Why did you stop coffee?
Well, you know, coffee became a ritual, more of a necessity, and I didn't need the stimulation. You know, I've got enough on my vagus nerve. I don't need anymore. And it was just getting out of hand and I had to stop. And I don't regret it, you know, because I never felt good drinking it. I just was always tired and stuff. And it was kind of like, you know, that whole, you said, the adrenal fatigue, you know, so it's more or less about getting to the root of the adrenal fatigue as opposed to trying to just push my way through life with the coffee.
Yeah.
Good for you. How long have you been off?
Since the beginning of July.
Good for you. That's good.
Yeah, and I didn't really have any like headaches or anything like that. You know, it took about a week for my body to settle down. But I even had to stop taking my multivitamin because of the B vitamins in it. They were too stimulating too.
Wow.
So just, you know, a lot of stuff going on. And it's just kind of like I had to let go of some things. Even though I thought, you know, the vitamins were healthy, they really weren't for me.
That's good. That's good. You know your body. Well, I'm getting a little warning that it's time to
Thank
roll
you.
it.
Have a lovely day.
Thank you. Thank you guys.
Bye.
For joining.
Bye.
Bye.